Somewhere in the middle of the night, in a quiet neighborhood of an ordinary American suburb, a man steps outside his home in his bathrobe, clutching a roll of aluminum foil. His hands move with the urgency of someone who believes they have discovered something the electric company does not want them to know. He wraps the shiny metallic sheet around the base of his electric meter, once, twice, 3 times, and steps back. He looks at it. He breathes. He goes back inside convinced that the next month's bill will be 70% lower. What he does not know is that by morning he may have committed a federal offense, exposed himself to serious financial liability, and done absolutely nothing to save a single cent on his electricity bill. This is the story of one of the most viral energy myths in modern history, a story about desperation, misinformation, the internet's power to turn fiction into perceived fact, and the very real laws of physics that no amount of household foil can bend. Every month, millions of households across the United States, the United Kingdom, and Brazil open their electricity bills and feel that same hollow sensation in the chest, the one that says something is deeply, unfairly wrong. Energy costs have risen sharply. In the United Kingdom alone, energy bills are now more than 50% higher than pre-pandemic levels for households paying by direct debit. In Brazil, commercial energy losses to theft reached 40.7 terawatt-hours in 2023, a number so vast it is nearly impossible to visualize, while honest consumers continue to absorb part of those costs through rising tariffs. In the United States, electricity theft costs utilities approximately $6 billion every single year, according to reporting from the Wall Street Journal, and someone always ends up paying for that. The frustration is real. The bills are real. The financial pressure squeezing working families is real. And into that frustration at some point a video appeared. The exact origin of the aluminum foil meter trick is difficult to pin down, which is itself telling. Misinformation rarely has a single author. It tends to emerge from the accumulated fog of wishful thinking, misunderstood science, and the peculiar mechanics of social media algorithms that, by design, reward the dramatic over the accurate. The claim is straightforward and seductive. Wrap aluminum foil around your electric meter, and the foil will somehow interfere with the meter's ability to read your consumption accurately, dropping your bill by as much as 70%. Sometimes the claim travels with an air of conspiracy. The electric company knows this works and is desperate to keep it secret. Sometimes it presents itself as folk wisdom passed down through generations. Regardless of its packaging, the video version of this trick has been shared millions of times across Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and WhatsApp groups in dozens of languages. But before anyone reaches for the foil, it is worth spending a few minutes understanding the object they are about to wrap, because the electric meter is a far more elegant and resilient instrument than most people give it credit for. The electric meter has existed in roughly recognizable form since the late 1800s. The earliest version, the electromechanical meter, also known as the Ferrari's meter, after its Italian inventor Galileo Ferrari's, works through a principle of pure electromagnetic elegance. Inside the meter there are 2 sets of copper coils. One coil is connected in parallel to the electrical load of the home and responds to voltage. The other is connected in series and responds to current. When electricity flows through the home, both coils become active and generate magnetic fields. These fields then interact with a thin aluminum disc suspended between them. The disc begins to spin. The speed at which the disc spins is directly proportional to the amount of power being consumed inside the home. The more appliances running, the faster the disc turns. A gear mechanism connected to the disc counts the total number of revolutions over time, translating them into kilowatt-hours of energy consumed, the unit printed on every electricity bill. The system is, in its way, breathtaking. A mechanical poem written in magnetic fields and spinning metal, running continuously for decades without interruption. The modern electronic and smart meters work differently at the component level but are governed by the same unbreakable principle. Inside a digital meter, electronic sensors convert the analog electrical signals of voltage and current into digital data. Microprocessors then process this data with remarkable precision, calculating energy consumption and storing usage history in internal memory. Smart meters, the advanced metering infrastructure, or AMI, systems now installed in tens of millions of homes across the developed world, go further still. They communicate consumption data in real time to utility companies, allow two-way communication between the customer and the provider, and are specifically engineered to detect electromagnetic interference. They are equipped with input filters designed to suppress unwanted radiated, reflected, and power line energy emissions that could degrade measurement accuracy. They are, in other words, built to resist exactly the kind of interference the aluminum foil myth claims to exploit. Here is where physics delivers its unambiguous verdict on the viral claim. Aluminum is a metal. As a metal, it is an excellent conductor of electricity. This is why aluminum wiring exists, why aluminum is used in high-voltage transmission lines, and why, critically, it is absolutely impossible to use aluminum foil as an electrical insulator. The myth operates on a fundamental misunderstanding of what aluminum does and does not do. Some versions of the claim suggest the foil creates a kind of electromagnetic shield that confuses the meter. In reality, wrapping a conductive metal around the exterior housing of an electric meter does nothing whatsoever to the internal measurement mechanism, which is sealed inside a robust enclosure precisely designed to exclude external interference. The meter reads what is flowing through the electrical lines running into the home. Those lines are inside the meter housing. Foil on the outside cannot reach them, cannot interact with them, and cannot influence them. Experiments conducted by electrical engineers and independent debunkers have confirmed this uniformly. In multiple film tests, power meter readings taken before and after wrapping aluminum foil around meters or around appliance power cords showed no measurable change in energy consumption, and in some cases, the readings actually increased slightly due to normal voltage fluctuations entirely unrelated to the foil. The foil does nothing. It is the electrical equivalent of putting a hat on the outside of a vault and expecting the contents inside to disappear. What makes this myth particularly persistent, and particularly dangerous, is the way it has been packaged and amplified. Researchers and media observers studying energy-saving misinformation on social media note a consistent pattern. Social media algorithms favor engagement over accuracy, and dramatic claims dramatically outperform accurate ones. A post that reads, "This simple trick slashes your energy bill by 70% receives thousands of shares." A post that reads, "Here are 15 evidence-based ways to reduce your electricity consumption by an average of 12% over 6 months, receives almost none. The asymmetry is not accidental. It is structural. The platforms are optimized for attention, and attention flows toward the spectacular. The aluminum foil myth has also been weaponized commercially. A parallel tradition of energy-saving scams uses the foil claim as a gateway to sell products: scalar energy stickers, special foil wrappers, proprietary metallic devices that allegedly work on the same principle but more effectively. These products are typically promoted through multi-level marketing structures. They come with demonstrations involving electromagnetic field meters, devices that can be made to show readings near any metallic object and that tell the audience nothing reliable about energy savings. The science is theater. The product is worthless. But the bill is very real, and the desperation that makes people receptive to these pitches is entirely understandable. At this point, a reasonable person might ask, even if the foil does not work, what is the harm in trying? This is precisely where the story takes a turn that most viral videos are careful to omit. Wrapping aluminum foil around an electric meter is not a neutral act. In most jurisdictions around the world, any physical interference with an electric meter, including placing objects on it, around it, or against it, constitutes meter tampering, and meter tampering is a criminal offense. In the United States, tampering with an electric meter is classified as utility fraud and electricity theft under both federal and state statutes. Convicted individuals can face substantial fines and criminal charges. In the United Kingdom, anyone found guilty of meter tampering can face up to 5 years in prison and fines of up to £2,000. In Brazil, energy theft is a crime under Article 155 of the Brazilian Penal Code, carrying a sentence of 1 to 4 years of imprisonment. In India, Section 135 of the Electricity Act of 2003 specifically criminalizes meter tampering, treating it as theft of electricity with severe legal consequences including fines and imprisonment. Beyond the legal dimension, there are genuine physical dangers. An electric meter is a live electrical device connected to the main power supply entering a home. Touching or manipulating it without proper training risks electrocution. Wrapping a conductive material like aluminum foil around a live electrical housing creates the potential for a short circuit, an electrical fire, or an arc flash, a sudden and explosive release of electrical energy that can cause severe burns and structural damage. The utility meter is the property of the energy company, not the homeowner. It is sealed for reasons of both safety and accuracy. That seal is not decorative. Breaking it triggers automatic investigations by the utility company, and modern smart meters can detect tampering in real time, transmitting alerts directly to the utility without any physical inspection required. The people who create and share these videos do not typically include this information. They also do not explain what happens next: the knock on the door, the inspection, the assessment of unpaid back bills, the legal proceedings. Utility companies are experienced at identifying tampering, and their response is not gentle. In addition to criminal charges, tampered accounts are typically assessed for the estimated amount of electricity consumed during the tampering period, often going back years, which can result in a bill far larger than any the homeowner was trying to avoid. There is a deeper story underneath all of this, one that goes beyond the specific absurdity of wrapping foil around a meter. It is a story about what happens when genuine economic anxiety meets a low-trust information environment. The conditions that make people vulnerable to these myths are not stupidity or gullibility. They are the entirely rational responses of people who feel they are being overcharged, who suspect the system is not transparent, and who have lost faith in institutions, including the utility companies that provide their power. When a person believes their bill is unfairly high, they are primed to believe that a simple countermeasure exists and has been suppressed. The conspiracy framing of many energy-saving hack videos exploits exactly this psychological state. But the data suggests that real savings are achievable. They simply require understanding rather than mythology. Heating and cooling systems typically account for nearly half of a household's energy bill. Upgrading to a programmable or smart thermostat, sealing air leaks around doors and windows, and maintaining HVAC systems regularly can reduce these costs by measurable percentages. Switching to LED lighting from incandescent bulbs reduces lighting energy consumption by up to 80% per bulb. Washing clothes in cold water, running dishwashers only when full, unplugging devices that draw standby power, the aggregate of these behavioral changes applied consistently produces real reductions in consumption that show up on real bills. None of these tips go viral with the same velocity as the aluminum foil myth, because they require effort, time, and consistency. They are not magic, but they work. Understanding how electricity is actually billed also empowers consumers in ways that myths never can. Utilities charge based on kilowatt-hours consumed, energy, not just power. This means that the duration of appliance use matters as much as the appliance's power rating. A device that draws 1,000 watts but runs for 1 hour consumes 1 kilowatt-hour. The same device running for 10 hours consumes 10. This simple arithmetic, once internalized, changes how a household thinks about its energy use. It transforms the electric meter from an enemy, a device imagined to be conspiring with the utility company against the consumer, into a tool, a feedback mechanism that honestly reflects consumption. The utility meter, in fact, has no interest in the drama surrounding it. It spins, or samples, or transmits, performing the same function it has performed for over a century, measuring the flow of electrical energy through a home with quiet, indifferent precision. It does not respond to foil. It does not conspire. It does not lie. The aluminum disc inside an electromechanical meter spins faster when more appliances are running and slower when fewer are. The microprocessor inside a smart meter samples voltage and current thousands of times per second, calculating consumption to a degree of accuracy that exceeds what any household could reasonably need. These are instruments of physics, and physics is not negotiable. The man in the bathrobe with his roll of foil is a sympathetic figure. The bill that drove him outside in the middle of the night was real. The anxiety was real. The hope, desperate, human, entirely understandable, was real. But the video that sent him there was not. And the consequences waiting for him on the other side of that simple act of wrapping, the criminal liability, the potential safety hazard, the unchanged meter reading, the possible back billing, were realer than anything the video warned him about. The most powerful thing any electricity consumer can do is understand the system they are part of. Not in the sense of finding its weaknesses to exploit, but in the sense of genuinely grasping how energy flows, how it is measured, how bills are calculated, and where the real opportunities for savings live. That understanding is not glamorous. It does not go viral. It does not promise 70% reductions in a single overnight miracle. But it is honest, it is legal, and it is the only path toward the outcome that everyone, including the man in the bathrobe, actually wants. A lower bill, achieved without consequence, that stays lower month after month because the change that produced it was real. The aluminum foil stays on the shelf. The real savings begin with knowing how the meter actually works.